Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that's probably on your mind if you're in the tech world. Nailing those technical interviews, especially the ones known for being extra tough, like at those FAM companies.
Definitely a hot topic.
Right. And to help us navigate this, we've got this blog post titled Common Interview Prep Errors That Slow Your Progress. It's from a website all about landing programming jobs, and it claims to lay out the biggest pitfalls people face during prep. What really caught my eye is the idea that once you recognize these pitfalls, the whole process becomes less intimidating and more about actually improving.
That's a powerful idea, and it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so the post jumps right into this thing about mastering fundamentals, which initially made me think, well, duh, obviously. But then I realized it's easy to get caught up in all the buzz about complex algorithms and data structures and forget the basics. It's like thinking you can build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It's just not going to work.
That's such a good analogy because it highlights the potential consequences of a weak foundation, just like with that skyscraper. In coding, if you don't have a solid grasp of the fundamentals, you're going to struggle with the more complex challenges. You might miss simple errors, misinterpret a problem, or even struggle to explain your thought process.
Ooh, okay, so that makes me think. What exactly do they mean by fundamentals in this context? What should I be brushing up on?
Well, the blog post gives some really practical examples. It talks about things like time and space complexity, basically how efficient your code is, and those classic data structures everyone talks about, arrays, linked lists, that sort of thing. And of course, object-oriented programming principles, or OOP, as it's often called, which is all about how you organize your code to make it reusable and efficient.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing what an array is, but understanding how to use it effectively and why you'd choose it over, say, a linked list in a given situation.
Exactly. It's about having that deeper understanding. So you're not just blindly applying concepts. You're making informed choices based on the specific problem at hand.
Got it. Strong foundation check. So what's the next pitfall this blog post wants to save us from?
The next one they highlight is the memorization trap, which I think a lot of us can relate to. You see a problem, you find a solution online,
Right.
and you try to memorize it.
Yeah.
But the article warns against this, and for good reason.
I know this feeling. I once tried cramming for a system design interview by memorizing complex diagrams. Let's just say it didn't go well. I felt like a parrot, just repeating things I didn't really understand.
I can only imagine. And that's exactly why memorization is a dead end. Interviews, especially at those top companies, are designed to test your problem-solving abilities, your adaptability, not your ability to regurgitate memorized code.
Right. They want to see you think, not just recite.
The blog uses this comparison to learning a language. Just memorizing phrases won't make you fluent. You need to understand the grammar, the vocabulary to actually communicate.
So how do we avoid falling into this memorization trap? What does the blog suggest?
They emphasize understanding the why behind algorithms, not just the how. So instead of just copying code, break it down, figure out how it works, why it works, and what the trade-offs are.
So it's about turning that code into something you truly understand, not just something you can repeat. I like that. What else is on this list of interview prep sins?
Well, this one surprised me a bit. It's not just about the code itself, but also about time management and having a solid problem-solving strategy.
Time management. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It makes sense when you think about it in an interview.
Yeah.
You're under pressure. You have limited time, and you need to demonstrate that you can think clearly and efficiently. It's like running a mental marathon. You need to pace yourself, strategize, and make sure you can reach the finish line.
A mental marathon. I love that analogy. So it's not enough to just get the right answer, eventually. It's about how you get there and how quickly. What does the blog say about tackling this time crunch? Any practical tips?
They actually give some really actionable advice. They recommend practicing under timed conditions. So set that timer for 25 minutes. Try to solve a problem. Then spend 5 minutes analyzing your approach, just like you would in a real interview.
Great idea. I feel like that would also help with those interview nerves, knowing you've practiced under pressure.
Absolutely. It helps build that mental muscle memory.
Yeah.
And it makes the actual interview feel less daunting. They also stress the importance of developing a structured problem-solving approach. This could be something like breaking down the problem into smaller steps, identifying potential solutions, evaluating your pros and cons, and then choosing the most effective one.
Right.
Having a framework to follow can really help you stay focused and organized under pressure.
So having a plan of attack, okay, I can see how that would be super helpful. This is already giving me so much to think about. What's the next thing they talk about?
The next point is about code quality, which might seem obvious, but the blog emphasizes that it's often overlooked.
I'm curious, how does code quality come into play during an interview? Isn't it all about finding the right solution?
It's about more than just getting the code to work. It's about demonstrating professionalism, a deeper understanding of best practices, and making your logic easy for others to follow.
So it's about writing code that not only solves the problem, but also makes sense to other developers. Like if you were working on a team, your code should be readable and maintainable, right?
Exactly. They even give examples of what good code looks like. Things like clear documentation, consistent style,
Yeah.
and using those design patterns we hear so much about. Design patterns are basically reusable solutions to common programming problems. And using them effectively shows you're thinking beyond just the immediate task and considering the bigger picture.
It's almost like good code is like a well-written essay. Clear, concise, easy to understand, and well-organized.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, in an interview setting, your code is essentially a reflection of your thought process
Yeah.
and your attention to detail.
All right, so clean code, check. This blog post is really making me rethink my whole approach. To interview prep, what else do they highlight?
Now, this is where things get really interesting. They argue that communication and collaboration are just as important as technical skills when it comes to nailing an interview.
Wait, communication and collaboration. I thought this was a technical interview.
Right. But think about it. Software development is rarely a solo endeavor. You're almost always working as part of a team. And being able to communicate your ideas clearly, explain your code, and work effectively with others is crucial.
So it's like you might have the most brilliant solution, but if you can't explain it to your team or incorporate their feedback, it's not going to be very effective.
Exactly. It's all about being able to work together towards a common goal. The blog uses this great analogy of an orchestra. Each musician might be incredibly talented, but if they can't play together harmoniously, the music will be a mess.
Okay, I get it. It's like building software. It's a symphony. And everyone needs to be in sync to create something truly beautiful.
Exactly. And during an interview, they're looking for signs that you can be a valuable member of that orchestra.
So how do you showcase those communication and collaboration skills? During an interview, is it about how you explain your code?
It's definitely part of it. Being able to articulate your thought process clearly and concisely. Being open to questions and feedback, and even asking clarifying questions yourself, all show that you're a good communicator.
So it's about being engaged in the conversation, not just giving robotic answers.
Precisely. And remember, even if you hit a roadblock during a coding challenge, being able to explain your thinking, what you've tried, and what you might try next demonstrates that problem-solving mindset they're looking for.
This is making me realize there's so much more to interview prep than just grinding lead code. Okay, so communication, collaboration, check. What else is on their list of common errors?
The next one they discuss is about scaling up. They argue that system design and scalability are becoming increasingly important, especially as you move into more senior roles.
Scaling up, does that mean being able to handle larger and more complex projects?
Exactly. As you progress in your career, you will be tackling systems with huge amounts of data, complex interactions, and the need to grow and evolve over time. Interviewers want to see that you can think beyond just individual algorithms and consider the bigger picture.
So it's not enough to just write code that works. It needs to work efficiently and be able to handle growth without falling apart. What kind of things should I be studying if I want to be ready for these types of questions?
The blog recommends studying design patterns, which we talked about earlier, but also specifically practicing, designing for scale, and getting familiar with concepts like cloud computing.
Cloud computing, that seems pretty advanced.
It is, but cloud platforms are becoming the backbone of so many applications. So understanding how they work, how to design systems that leverage their power, and how to handle massive amounts of data is increasingly important.
All right, I'm adding cloud computing for dummies to my reading list. So we've covered mastering the fundamentals, avoiding the memorization trap, managing time, writing clean code, communicating effectively, and thinking about scalability. What else is on their list of common errors?
This one is something I think a lot of people struggle with. The sheer volume of resources available for interview prep. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the online platforms, courses, and articles out there, The blog warns against getting lost in this sea of information and sticking to just one platform.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like having a library full of books, but no idea where to start.
Exactly, and that's why they advocate for a diverse learning approach. They argue that by exposing yourself to different problem types, teaching styles, and difficulty levels, you develop a more well-rounded understanding and are better prepared for whatever an interview throws your way.
So it's about finding the right balance between depth and breadth. They even mention some specific platforms, right?
They do. They shout out platforms like AlgoExpert, LeetCode, and HackerRank.
Oh yeah, those are the heavy hitters of coding practice.
Right. And they highlight that. Each platform has its strengths. AlgoExpert is known for its in-depth video explanations, while LeetCode and HackerRank are great for getting tons of practice problems and competing against others.
So it's about finding the platforms that best suit your learning style and goals.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to experiment and see what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to interview prep, so it's all about finding the resources that help you learn and grow the most.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to check out some of those platforms. This is all incredibly helpful. What's the next pitfall they warn us about?
This one is all about learning from mistakes, which might sound obvious, but they argue that. It's something people often overlook.
Learning from mistakes, you mean like reviewing my old code
Yeah,
and figuring out where I went wrong?
exactly. They
Yeah.
compare it to an athlete watching game replays. You analyze your performance to identify areas for improvement. It's about turning those mistakes into learning opportunities rather than just brushing them under the rug.
That makes sense. I feel like we often just want to move on to the next problem. But
Yeah.
there's so much value in going back and understanding why we made a mistake.
Right. And by reviewing your past work, you can identify patterns
Oh.
in your errors, address those weak areas, and avoid making those same mistakes again in the future.
So it's like once you've solved a problem, the learning doesn't stop there. It's about digging deeper and figuring out how to improve for next time. What other tips do they have for making the most of our interview prep?
The last point they hit on is the power of mock interviews. They strongly recommend incorporating them into your preparation routine.
Mock interviews, that sounds terrifying.
I know it can feel daunting, but think of them like dress rehearsals for a play. Mock interviews give you a chance to practice under pressure, get used to the format, and receive feedback on both your technical and soft skills.
So it's about simulating the real interview experience as much as possible.
Exactly. And the feedback you get is invaluable. It can help you identify blind spots, work on your communication style, and even get comfortable talking about your strengths and experiences.
Do they recommend any specific ways to do mock interviews?
They suggest practicing with peers, mentors, or even professional interview prep services. Each offers a different perspective and level of feedback. So it's about finding what works best for you.
Wow, this blog post is like a gold mine of advice. I'm already feeling more prepared just from discussing all this. What else did we glean from this? Interview prep wisdom.
Well, that covers all the main points from the blog post. But the conversation doesn't stop there. In the next part, we're going to explore some additional insights and discuss some of the key takeaways that you can use to truly ace those interviews.
Sounds like we're just getting started. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into U-numbers.
Mastering technical interviews. All right, so we've covered a ton of ground in part 1, breaking down those common interview prep mistakes for that awesome blog post. But I'm curious, it's not just about avoiding those pitfalls, right? There's got to be more to it than just not messing up. What about actually standing out in a technical interview?
You're spot on. It's not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about showcasing what you bring to the table. And one thing that really resonated with me from the blog is the importance of showcasing your thought process.
Thought process. You mean like how I approach a problem? Isn't it all about getting to the right answer?
It's about more than just the destination. It's about the journey. Think about it. Interviewers want to see how you think, how you break down a problem, how you analyze different solutions. It gives them insight into your problem-solving abilities, which are crucial in any tech role. Okay, so it's not about having some magical aha moment and instantly knowing the solution. It's about showing that I can think critically and methodically, even if I don't have all the answers right away.
Exactly. And this is especially important when you hit a roadblock, which, let's be real, happens to everyone. Being able to articulate your reasoning, explain your choices, even acknowledging potential trade-offs, it shows you can think on your feet. and adapt your approach.
So even if my code isn't perfect, if I can explain why I made certain decisions, what I tried, and what I'd do differently next time, that shows on my learning and growing right.
Absolutely. It's like they're not just looking for a code writing machine. They're looking for someone who can think critically, learn from their mistakes, and contribute to a team.
This is all making me realize that interviews are much more nuanced than I initially thought. So showcasing our thought process. Check. What else can we do to really shine during a technical interview?
The blog also emphasizes highlighting your unique strengths and experiences. It's about standing out from the crowd and showing what you specifically bring to the table.
Okay, so not just blending in with every other candidate who's memorized the same algorithms.
Right. Think about what makes you different. Maybe you have experience with a particular technology, or you're passionate about a specific area of software development, like machine learning or cybersecurity. Maybe you have a unique approach to problem solving, or you're great at explaining complex technical concepts in a simple, easy to understand way.
So it's about finding those things that set me apart and then figuring out how to weave them into my answers, even for technical questions.
Exactly. It's about showing how your skills and experiences align with what the company is looking for and how you can add value to their team. And don't be afraid to. Let your personality shine through. Remember, technical skills are essential. But companies also want to hire people who are a good cultural fit, who are passionate, and who will bring something unique to the team.
This is making me think about the human element of interviewing, which is something the article also touches on. It reminds us that there are often behavioral and cultural fit questions, which can feel a bit intimidating, especially when you're so focused on the technical stuff.
Those questions are super important because they give the interviewers a glimpse into how you work with others, how you handle challenges, your communication style, and whether your values align with the company's culture.
So it's not just about whether I can write code. It's about whether I'd be a good fit for their team and their overall work environment.
Exactly. It's about finding the right fit, not just filling a role. And from the company's perspective, they're investing a lot of time and resources into hiring someone. So they want to make sure it's a good match for everyone involved.
That makes sense. But how do you even prepare for those kinds of questions? It's not like you can memorize algorithms for teamwork or communication.
It's about reflecting on your past experiences, identifying situations where you demonstrated key skills like teamwork, communication, problem solving, leadership, or whatever they're looking for. Then you need to be able to articulate those experiences in a concise and engaging way.
Okay, so it's like storytelling, but with a focus on showcasing my skills and how I've handled real-world situations. Is there any framework or method that can help with structuring these answers?
Absolutely. The STAR method is a popular one. It stands for situation, task, action, result. Basically, you describe the situation, the task you were given, the action you took, and the result of your action.
Just like setting the scene, explaining the challenge, describing how I tackled it, and then highlighting the positive outcome.
Exactly. It helps keep your answers focused and structured, which is especially important when you're nervous and under pressure. And remember, even though technical skills are the foundation, don't underestimate the importance of those. Soft skills, communication, collaboration, adaptability, problem solving, all those things, they're highly valued in today's tech world.
So it's about showcasing the whole package, my technical expertise, my problem-solving abilities, my communication skills, and my personality. It's like, hey, I can code, but I'm also a cool person to work with.
Exactly. Interviewing is a chance to demonstrate who you are as a professional and
as a person.
And as a person. It's about convincing the company that you're not just a good fit for the role, but that you're someone they'd actually want to work with, someone who bring value to their team and their company culture.
This is all such great advice. I'm already feeling a lot more confident and less intimidated by the whole interview process. It's not just about knowing all the answers. It's about showcasing my thought process, my adaptability, my personality, and my willingness to learn and grow.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, preparation is key. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. And that confidence will shine through in your interviews.
All right, we've covered so much ground already, but we're not done yet. In our final segment, we'll tackle something that I think we can all relate to. Those pre-interview jitters we'll delve into. Some of the anxieties that come with technical interviews, and discuss how to manage those nerves so you can perform at your best.
We'll also talk about the importance of
Right.
staying positive
Yeah.
and viewing the interview process
Yeah.
as a learning opportunity, regardless of the outcome. So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into mastering those technical interviews.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into acing those technical interviews we've talked about. The skills, the prep, the mindset. But let's be real for a second. No matter how much you prepare, interviews can be nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. It's natural to feel some anxiety, especially when you know there's a lot riding on the outcome. But remember, you're not alone. Everyone gets nervous, even seasoned professionals.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. My heart still races every time. I have a big interview. It's like all that preparation goes out the window. The moment I see those expectant faces staring back at me.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like your brain turns to mush and you suddenly forget everything you ever learned about coding. But the key is to manage those nerves so they don't completely sabotage your performance.
Easier said than done, right? Do you have any tips on how to actually calm those pre-interview jitters? Because telling myself to just relax never seems to work.
I hear you. And honestly, just relax is terrible advice.
Yeah.
What works much better is preparation. The more prepared you feel, the more confident you'll be. And confidence can really help combat those nerves.
So all that time spent practicing algorithms, reviewing concepts, doing mock interviews, it's not just about the knowledge itself. It's about building that inner confidence.
Exactly. When you know you've put in the work, you're less likely to be caught off guard or feel like you're in over your head. But preparation goes beyond the technical stuff. Practice answering common behavioral questions. Rehearse your introduction. Even plan out your outfit the night before. Taking care of those logistical details can help reduce stress on the day of the interview.
I never thought about it that way, but it makes total sense. If I'm not scrambling to find a clean shirt or worrying about what to say when they ask about my greatest weakness, I can focus more on showcasing my skills.
Right. It's about minimizing those unnecessary stressors so you can bring your best self to the interview. And here's another tip that I found really helpful. Reframe your thinking about the interview. Instead of seeing it as a test you need to pass, think of it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
A learning opportunity, but isn't the whole point to get the job?
Of course, getting the job is the ultimate goal. But even if you don't get this particular job, you'll gain valuable experience and insights that will help you in future interviews.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's like each interview, whether it leads to a job offer or not, is a chance to practice my skills, get feedback, and learn more about what companies are looking for.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective from I need to prove myself to I'm here to learn and grow. And that mindset can make a huge difference in how you approach the interview and how you handle the pressure.
It takes some of the pressure off, that's for sure. It's like, I'm not just there to be judged. I'm there to learn and engage in conversation about technology and my place in that world.
Precisely. And remember, the interview is a two-way street. It's not just about the company evaluating you. It's also a chance for you to evaluate them. Ask thoughtful questions, engage with the interviewers, and see if the interviews, company culture and values align with yours.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the I need this job mentality and forget that. I also have a choice in where I work.
Absolutely. You're going to be spending a significant portion of your life at this company. So it's crucial to find a place where you feel valued, challenged, and inspired. And the interview is the perfect opportunity to get a sense of where this company is the right fit for you.
All this is making me realize that interview prep is about so much more than just technical skills. It's about mindset, perspective, and finding the right fit.
Couldn't agree more. And one final piece of advice I'd offer is don't be afraid to be yourself. Authenticity goes a long way in interviews. Let your personality shine through, showcase your passion for technology, and don't be afraid to show a bit of your sense of humor.
That's such great advice. It's a reminder that interviews are about human connection, not just technical prowess. They want to see who you are as a person, not just a collection of skills and algorithms. All right, we've covered so much ground today. And honestly, I'm feeling much more prepared and, dare I say, even excited to tackle those technical interviews now.
That's fantastic to hear. Just remember, preparation, confidence, and a positive mindset are your keys to success. Embrace the challenge, learn from every experience, and never stop growing as a developer.
And to everyone listening out there, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the prospect of technical interviews, remember, You're not alone. There are tons of resources available to help you prepare, and countless people have been in your shoes.
And as we discussed today, effective interview prep is about so much more than just memorizing algorithms. It's about building a solid foundation, honing your problem-solving skills, developing a strategic mindset, and showcasing your unique strengths and personality.
And even if you don't nail every question or land every job, every interview is a learning experience. Take those lessons to heart, keep refining your skills, and never give up on your dreams.
We hope this deep dive has given you the tools and insights to navigate the often daunting world of technical interviews. Good luck out there. Remember,
You got this. That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We encourage you to check out the original blog post, Common Interview Prep Errors That Slow Your Progress, to learn even more. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.